So lately on the channel, there's been a lot of videos about glitches, mostly because Red and Blue version are very broken, but also compatible with Pokemon Sun and Moon. However, there's been quite a few Pokemon Sun and Moon exploits as well, and this is making a lot of people mad at me because I'm the main, most outspoken person in the Pokemon community about cheating. I am the anti-cheating, anti-hacking person, which is why this video needs to be made, and pretty much the main idea of this video is that glitching is not cheating, and hacking is not comparable to glitching at all. I get tons of comments whenever I do one of these videos, and even on my very recent one about the Pokepelago exploit that's like, oh, you're just as bad as a hacker, oh, you're hacking the game. Even though glitching and hacking are incomparable, so we're going to be discussing a lot about this, that there's just no justification to hacking. However, when it comes to glitching, there is a gray area, because there are glitches that are both allowed and not allowed in both Pokemon and the rest of the gaming community. So one reason why I'm a proponent of certain glitches being allowed is that I love speedrunning. I've done speedrunning in the past. I also watch a lot of speedruns during my spare time, and we can look at something like the Super Mario World 11 exit run. This makes use of a glitch item, but people aren't super outraged about it like, oh, there's glitching in this game, therefore the entire thing is invalid. It's actually a core part of a lot of speedrunning, but also sometimes there's limits. There's glitchless categories, there's certain glitches allowed, you know, some glitches are off limits while others aren't, and then we can even look at other esports. I think CSGO is a big example as well with boosting. That's some boosts, yeah, you can use them for strategic advantages and they add dynamicness to the gameplay, but then there are some other boosts that are just freaking ridiculous and banned from tournament. And then in other games, we can even look at something like animation canceling, that for the most part, this is just a developing quirk that ends up becoming a part of the highest level of play, and therefore it's usually used, and very rarely is it actually removed, and it just becomes a core part of the gameplay. So what does this mean for Pokemon? Well, all we have to do is go to the VGC Rulebook 4.1. This is the big rule. This is the Pokemon legality rule right here. So, illegally manipulate Pokemon. The use of external devices such as a mobile app to modify or create items or Pokemon in a player's battle team is expressly forbidden. You may be disqualified from competition for doing this. This is the golden rule of Pokemon. There is no getting around this. If you are using PK Hex, if you are using anything that creates or modifies a Pokemon, even if it's within legal stats, it is a 100% illegal Pokemon. There's nothing legal, quote unquote, legal about it. That's the golden rule. Once you break it, it's over, and you can immediately see that that's cheating. But when it comes to glitching, there's no mention of glitching, and it doesn't use external devices. It's all done in-game. And that's where we can get into like this crazy talk about advantages as well, because the biggest thing about people that are proponents of hacking is that they say that, oh, it doesn't give an advantage, therefore it's okay to use, even though 4.1 says, no, it's not okay at all. Now, when it comes to advantages, advantages exist everywhere. Just because you have an advantage doesn't make it immediately illegal. We can use sports as an example here because there's going to be people that are just born differently, people that gain muscle mass at a faster rate, people that are just born larger or taller or shorter than others. That doesn't mean that the 5-foot player is allowed to use steroids and the 6-foot player that has 100 more pounds on him isn't allowed to do that. No, it's once you break the rules, you are cheating, and the same applies to Pokemon. That if I have more money than you, I can buy an extra game cartridge, an extra DS, which means I have the version exclusives, I can do trading faster, I can get multiple items. That isn't cheating at all because it's not in the rules. You look at the rules for Pokemon, no modifying, no creating Pokemon, even if they have the same obtainable stats, that the time saved is objectively an advantage in Pokemon because time is the biggest factor inside of Pokemon. It's not a mechanical, action-based game of skill like that, it's a lot of knowledge-based. It takes time to build the knowledge, it takes time to build and experiment with your teams, and even the slightest bit of advantage against the rules like that is cheating by the definition of cheating, so there's no defending it. So one of the biggest takeaways from those rules are external advantages. That if you have to download a program, if you have to modify your game, modify your save file, modify your 3DS, do something that is not with your game, that is going to be cheating immediately off the bat right there. And it even goes into Pokemon terms of service that you're not allowed to use anything unauthorized like that. But glitching is much more of a gray area, that nowhere in the rules does it say you're not allowed to glitch or exploit of any kind, because there's going to be different ranges. That if I was using everything in-game, I was doing only in-game glitches or only in-game methods, and I obtain a Pokemon that has above average stats or a move that it doesn't normally learn, that Pokemon's still illegal because the rules have clearly defined legal Pokemon. And then when we look at something like the Pokepelago glitch, it doesn't do anything game-breaking. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't break the rules in any way. The only thing that people are getting upset about is that it looks cheaty. Looking cheaty doesn't mean that it is cheaty. You can be against certain glitches, but as long as the rules are not strictly against them, then you really don't have a case. And that's what this video is about. That whenever I make a video on something and effectively give it my endorsement by making a guide about it, I make sure that there is some argument for that action's legality, and that's the biggest thing, is like looking at the rules. So people are getting mad at me like, oh, I'm just a hypocrite because I'm hacking. Well, glitching isn't hacking, and it isn't automatically cheating. So I don't understand how these people, how these idiots are getting confused by just very basic common knowledge. So let's get into the next one. So now, time to talk about the cloning glitch, because people will be like, oh, why are you against cloning if you're against all of this? Well, cloning has been ruled as illegal by the Pokemon Company. I've spoken with many judges at events. I've also emailed the Pokemon Company and got a message saying that no, they do not want you to be using the Wi-Fi or like turning off your DS and doing something like that to glitch the game into cloning a Pokemon. So that goes into like certain Pokemon creation and modification as well with the cloning. Now, I don't have any screenshots of this because this was like 4 years ago, and I didn't expect to make this video 4 years in the future, but there's a lot of anecdotal evidence backing that you can talk to Pokemon judges, and historically, they have been absolutely against cloning, even though it makes a perfectly legal Pokemon, because as we've shown the rules, a legal Pokemon made through illegal means is still an illegal Pokemon. It's the reason why you can't breed hacked parents. If I hack into 6IV Ditto and I breed with it and then make a child and then train that child through all in-game means, still 100% illegal Pokemon because hacking was done at some point. So this is where also the Pokemon Company has to step in and define what they want you doing and what they don't want you doing. And I think it's been pretty obvious that even going back to the 4th generation, this is how long the cloning glitch has existed. It's been patched out many times, it's been tried to be fixed, and now in Pokemon Sun and Moon, you can see that in the 7th generation, they're just going to straight up time you out or ban you if you keep trying to abuse this exploit, because it's just something inherent about the system, the way that Game Freak has built their game to where this is always going to be an issue. Therefore, they just need to shut it down by giving people limitations and restrictions if they even attempt it. But now we can go into the Pokemon Red and Blue glitches, because that's where we get into allowing it. The Pokemon Company is not allowing hacking at all. That we can see that they're banning people. That almost 6,000 players were banned for having save modification, for using hacking devices. They were banned for that. How many players were banned for trying to bring glitch Pokemon through the GTS? None, because it gave you a little message that said, oh, we have a problem with your Pokemon. Sorry, those have been removed. Now, the way this ties in with my glitching videos is actually fairly interesting, because a majority of the videos were done out of nostalgia and also before Pokemon Bank even came out, so we didn't have the full details. It's mostly speculation and also showing you guys how to perform these things in history, how they've been performed, because they're still doable on the Virtual Console. So they were intentionally left in. That's already an argument right there, that they were intentionally left in, and for the most part, these can be easily patched out, that they were fixed in later generations, or it's a very easily understood coding bug that can be fixed, such as the missing no glitch. So Nintendo leaving in glitches in a game that is already confirmed to have connectivity to a future game leaves two conclusions. One, that the glitch Pokemon are being allowed through intentionally because of some other features. That another argument is, in future generations, we have unlimited access to TMs. Therefore, by using the missing no glitch, you can have current modern Pokemon gameplay effectiveness inside of an older game that is going to be communicating with the future game as well. So it could be some kind of intentional thing, that this was allowed intentionally, or two, the Pokemon get restricted. Now, it turned out that the second one happened, that if you tried to transfer a glitch Pokemon, it would say blocked. However, that's not even a bad thing at all. That means you're playing effectively single player. Now, the rules lie in modern Pokemon, VGC, the 7th generation, that there aren't any exclusive cases about what you can do in the Red and Blue Virtual Console. Yes, it isn't like purely single player because you can still trade and battle with friends, but the connectivity doesn't, like, there's a gate there. So whatever is allowed to participate in the current supported formats, and whatever isn't just stays in your game. Therefore, it's completely harmless, and it's for that nostalgia factor right there, and it's for the fun of the game. So really, it was a win-win situation. Even if it gets blocked, you can still glitch in the game because it's not affecting anything that the rules apply to. The rules do not apply to red and blue, and whatever they don't want the rules applying to, that stays back in your effectively single-player game. Therefore, glitch away, have some fun enjoying how broken the game is, and that kind of goes back to the speedrunning side of it. That the speedrunning, there's that enjoyment to those crazy glitches that cut down time, or also those high-performance things that are used in official speedruns. That, you know, there is that separation there, and we can see that that was happening in the Pokebank. But interestingly enough, there was also a third option that ended up happening when it came to the Pokemon Sun and Moon Pokebank transfer. Restricted, but also allowed. So somehow, Nintendo or the Pokemon Company, they made it to where both were in effect. That you could restrict some of the glitch Pokemon, but also glitching was completely acceptable, because if they did not want you glitching at all, and they did not want that reaching into Pokemon Sun and Moon, it is very easy to stop, because if you have corner piece 9 of an item, that looks very bad. That if you have a glitch stack of items, that means you use Missing No, and if Missing No was never intended to ever be used because it is that illegal of a glitch, then that means you would not have been able to trade your Pokemon if you had a glitch stack of items, or a certain glitch Pokemon, or even Missing No encounters, or something like that. So as you can see, the rules are very straightforward, and when it comes to glitches, it's more of a case-by-case example where you can find the arguments that Pokemon says, yes, this is allowed, no, this is not allowed. So it's not me picking and choosing what I want to apply to me, or some kind of wordplay and twisting my own hypocrisy to where I can never be wrong like all of these other comments and haters are saying. You just need a slight bit of intelligence, and you can see no hacking, period. Everything else is kind of case by case, and then the Pokemon Company will intervene when they think it is bad enough to be prevented. But also, what about exploits? Because that's the other big thing. Just because I put exploit in the title of a video, one, doesn't mean that's like a true game-breaking illegal exploit, and two, doesn't mean that it's also immediately cheating or against the rules. So now we also have to say that not only is glitching not hacking and not immediately cheating, but also that hacking and glitching and exploits are also their own separate things, because an exploit comes in many different flavors that people can call something like a life hack, not a real hacking the game modifying, but an incredibly useful trick inside the game that feels exploity. Like, oh, I know the game developers probably didn't intend for this to happen, but it's a very vanilla way of dealing with the game. And then exploits start getting extra crazy because they could be weaker or stronger than an actual glitch because of the vague nature of the definitions. That all the definitions that we're playing with, for the most part, are going to be very community exclusive and also not super clearly defined and unofficial. That when we're talking about like glitching or bugs or hacking, that's not like computer hacking and stealing passwords and stuff. It's just the usage of hacking tools, which have been named hacking tools by developers or other members of the community. That we're not just talking about like illegal as in breaking the law, but illegal as in unable to use for Pokemon tournaments. That an exploit is loosely doing something that the developer didn't intend, but that could also work as a glitch as well, and then it's the difference between bugs and glitches, and again, the definitions start getting crazy. So, as always, case-by-case example, that there's nothing cheating about a Blissey base, but some people will consider it cheating. That some people won't do it because they find it unfair, cheap, or cheaty. Well, that doesn't make it any of those things. Just because you say something doesn't immediately make it true. Much like how the people are saying that I'm a hypocrite, or I'm a liar, or I'm just making up rules. Well, as you can see right here, I'm proving them wrong with lots of evidence. That it's the same with this entire argument. That only the unintelligent are the ones that are making their own cases without having any evidence supporting it. Yeah, the Blissey base can be considered an exploit, but immediately saying exploit equals cheating is the most ignorant thing you can do, especially in a cheating, hacking, whatever kind of discussion that we're in right now. And then the same can go for the Pokepelago. That the Pokepelago one, it's not really a glitch. Like, we're not doing anything that causes the game to bug out, go crazy, and then hand us over things. It seems more like an exploit with some kind of quirk in the programming, but programming quirk is also a glitch. So it gets kind of crazy, but there's nothing game-breaking about it. That this can be discovered through natural means, and it's not, you don't have to break the rules to manipulate this into happening. I would say the same with my bottle cap guide as well. I called it an exploit because it's an unintended thing. You're exploiting the game, but it's not cheaty. It's edgy to call something an exploit, especially when you're one of the people that discovered it and is breaking it for a guide. That the people saw exploit in the title and immediately called me a cheating, hacker, filth, hypocrite, scum, even though when you look at it, if you've bought a 2-star treasure hunter at any point and you get a bottle cap, and then you buy another one, you get another bottle cap. You kind of put 2 and 2 together, and again, that's where people look at it and be like, oh, that's cheating. Anyone that does that is immediately illegitimate, even though you could flip through the rulebook, flip through the terms of service Pokemon all day long, and you're not going to find it. There's that clear definition between game modification, external devices, external software, all of that, what is and isn't legal. And that's where we go into the terms of service part of the video, because no, you are not allowed to do whatever you want with your game, especially when it comes to save modification. That's why Pokemon has every right to ban you from online play. It's why Nintendo was hard banning consoles from the Wi-Fi if you were trying to download a pirated copy of Pokemon Sun or Moon and then use it on the Wi-Fi before the game came out. Yes, it was stupidity, but the people that got caught in their stupidity were fairly punished. That's what the terms of service are for. Pokemon has a terms of use. The Wi-Fi has a terms of use. The VGC, all those rules, they all flow together, and if it's any kind of modification, any kind of external devising, anything that the Pokemon Company deems unfair or unusable, it's cheating, end of story. Any punishment that happens is absolutely fair. Just because you paid money for a game doesn't mean it's yours. You pay for CSGO and get VAC banned? Gone. You pay for Overwatch and get busted for aimbotting? Gone. You are not allowed to do whatever you want with your game if it breaks the rules. And then this kind of transitions into the other thing I'm against, because it kind of plays both lines, that it's not modifying your game directly, but it's still external software to apply it, and that's the RNG method. So I'm against cloning, which has also been supported to be against the rules, and then RNG, which again, if you sent the Pokemon Company an email back in the 5th generation, they would say no, RNG is forbidden. If you asked about it to judges at tournaments, they would say no, you're not allowed to be using RNG Pokemon. At least those are the responses I've got, and when I've talked to dozens and dozens of people, they have the same thing of saying it. That's because RNG, this is an exploit. This is on the other side of that spectrum for exploiting as well. That RNG, yes, it's an exploit, and because it breaks the game to a degree that you are not allowed to break it. So it's also the capability that the average player has to be able to do this, and that's why there is no advantage granted from this. That if I can open up my DS, change the date to January 31st, and make it like a minute before midnight on 2017, anyone can do that. Anyone has access to the Pokepelago glitch. Not anyone can modify their DS and then do illegal stuff. Once you are modifying the save data, once you are using BHEX, once you're homebrewing your DS, that gets like illegal not on just Pokemon levels, but terms of service Nintendo piracy levels. And again, external devices. Once you are outside of the cartridge, once you are outside of what is possible inside the game, it immediately becomes illegal, and then when you're using other things to augment that as well. So with RNG, you had to have a program that set the RNG seed for you, and that's how you could set it up to get the correct Pokemon that you want and all those correct things. That yes, it was an exploit, and yes, it has the possibility to achieve without hard modding your game, without doing any kind of tampering like that. But without the program, without the external software, the RNG exploit is effectively impossible, which is the limitation behind it. So, for all the people that don't understand what I am for and what I'm against, it's very simple. Can you do it in-game? Is it against the rules? And is it only an exclusive in-game means? That's somehow like a majority of the community just goes full retard and goes, oh yeah, well you know what's okay? Hacking's okay. Making legal Pokemon through illegal means, that's okay. All of these other things that the Pokemon Company has explicit black and white rules against, that's okay. But you know what isn't okay? Glitching. That the second you can do something inside your game without any kind of external factor, that's what's not okay, even though everything else is. So that's why I don't understand, that's why I need to make this video. So that's gonna be pretty much it for the video. Need to defend myself against all of these false accusations that are happening, because somehow all of these spoiled millennial kids just don't understand common sense and looking at something objectively and just saying, this is correct, this is incorrect, follow the rules, don't be a spoiled brat, but majority of the Pokemon community is anyways. So, kind of sucks, and hopefully this video sets some things straight. If you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.